Nice launch trajectory and countdown net. Pad is clear.
10, 9, 8.
Launch auto sequence
7,
has started.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic. Stage separation confirmed. Dragon, separation confirmed. Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
T-minus 30 seconds. Seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff of Eutelsat HOTBIRd 13G. Go Falcon 9.
Kerbal Space Center, carrying Eutelsat HOTBIRd 13G satellite. Now during ascent, the M1D engines will actually swivel and help steer Falcon 9, and this is known as gimbal. The rocket autonomously tilts the engines.
Supersonic.
The rocket autonomously tilts the engines just a few degrees, and this gimbaling allows the vehicle to perform a gravity turn, which is when we are going vertical but also going horizontal, and you can kind of see that on your screen there.
Max Q.
Great call out. We've just passed through Max Q. That is the largest structural load that the vehicle sees on ascent. After we pass through Max Q, we can now begin to throttle up the 9 M1D engines on stage 1. And in just about a minute, we'll have 3 events happening back to back. The first will be MECO stage separation, and then SES1, which is second stage engine start 1. Got some really cool views.
MVAC is showing in.
Really cool views of those 9 M1D engines on the first stage. Now MECO is main engine cutoff, and that's where all 9 of those engines will shut down, and that prepares the vehicle for stage separation. Then stage 1 can make its way back down to Earth, while stage 2 continues with SES1, or second stage engine start 1. That's where we will ignite that MVAC engine on the second stage for the first time for this mission. Again, coming up here in just a few seconds, we will have MECO stage separation and SES1.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
Evacuation.
And there we could see MECO stage separation on your right-hand screen. That MVAC engine is lighting up there. Coming up next, we will have fairing separation. The fairing halves flying today are flight proven, one half flying for the 4th time and the other for a 6th time.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there you can see on your right-hand screen the fairing halves being jettisoned. Now we will be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today once they fall back down to Earth using our recovery ship, Bob.
Acquisition signal, Bermuda.
T plus 4 minutes into today's mission. That call out there was just acquisition of signal of one of our ground stations. Now we're in the first of 2 planned MVAC burns prior to satellite deployment, and that's what you're seeing there on your screen is the MVAC on the second stage. The next event will be first stage entry burn, and that'll occur around T plus 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And you should also be able to see that on your screen. Now for that entry burn, we relight 3 M1D engines, starting with the center one, which is the E9 engine, followed shortly thereafter by E1 and E5 engines. This burn is the first of 2 planned burns for the first stage and slows the vehicle down as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. Now stage 1 does need to slow down to reduce the re-entry forces, and that helps us to recover and reuse the vehicles.
Vehicle on nominal trajectory.
And great call-outs. Vehicle is on nominal trajectories. That entry burn is just under 1.5 minutes away. And as a reminder, with a unique pan-European coverage, the high-power HOTBIRD satellites at 13 degrees east form one of the largest broadcasting systems in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, delivering 1,000 television channels to more than 160 million TV homes. Now, during the re-entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but it's still moving very rapidly. This causes the vehicle to fly through the Merlin's exhaust gases, which is also called the rocket's plume. And this thin layer of soot from Falcon 9's carbon-based fuel, kerosene, is deposited onto the exterior of the vehicle.
Stage 1 FTS is saved. Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And as you can see, your left-hand screen light up there. Those 3 engines have ignited. This entry burn will last about 25 seconds long.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
And that concludes the entry burn for the first stage. Now, for those that might not be familiar with why we land our rockets, reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investments in critical science research. And the Falcon 9 first stage that is supporting today's mission performed this entry burn for the 7th time tonight, previously launching CRS-22, Crew 3, Turksat 5B, Crew 4, CRS-25, and 1 Starlink mission. Now, we're about 30 seconds away from the next couple of events. Next up will be KSP kOS 1, which is second stage engine cutoff 1. And that's when we shut down that MVAC engine on the second stage.
Stage 1 transonic.
And we allow that second stage to coast. And then shortly after...
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Shortly after KSP kOS 1, we'll have the landing burn starting on the first stage. And stage 1 landing burn has begun. Let's watch as Falcon 9 touches down on Just Read the Instructions.
Landing leg deployed.
Nominal orbit.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And great news there, and a couple of great call-outs. Falcon 9 has touched down on Just Read the Instructions. This landing marks SpaceX's 152nd recovery of an orbital-class rocket, including first-stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. And we also heard KSP kOS 1 and confirmation of good orbit. So now the mission isn't over just yet. The second stage is now embarking on its first coast phase. After the coast phase, we will light that MVAC engine for a second time around T plus 29 minutes. So we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes. In the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy some space tunes.
signal, Bermuda.
Welcome back to the webcast of the Falcon 9 mission carrying the HOTBIRD 13G satellite for our customer Eutelsat. We've had a nominal mission so far. Falcon 9 launched on time at 1:22 a.m. Eastern Time from Space Launch Complex 40. We successfully recovered the first stage on our drone ship. Just read the instructions for the 7th time, and the second stage completed its first burn of the Merlin vacuum engine. Now we are just a few seconds away from a second ignition of the MVAC engine, which will carry the second stage and the HOTBIRD 13G
MVAC startup.
payload into the orbit needed to deploy. And we just heard that call out. That is SES-2, or second stage engine start 2. Now this burn will be about a minute long. And we are about halfway through the burn. In about 30 seconds, we will have SECO, or second stage engine cutoff 2. And once we have SECO, we will wait for a confirmation of good orbit.
Shut down.
We've just had SECO 2, just awaiting.
Insertion.
There's that call out. We just had a confirmation of good orbit. So with confirmation of a successful second engine start, cutoff, and good orbit, Eutelsat's HOTBIRD 13G satellite is still attached to Falcon 9's second stage and is set to deploy in about 5 minutes. So we're going to take another short break, so enjoy the space tunes, and we'll come back to you around the T plus 35-minute mark.
Acquisition of signal, Artemis dock.
Welcome back to the Eutelsat HOTBIRD 13G mission. So far, we've had an on-time liftoff at 1:22 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by successful ascent, stage separation, first stage landing, and 2 second stage engine burns. Now, we are coming up on payload deployment in about a few seconds here. And as a reminder, Eutelsat is a world-leading satellite operator covering Europe, Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and the Americas. And we are currently standing by for the deployment of their HOTBIRD 13G satellite, which we expect here momentarily.
Payload separation confirmed.
An incredible view there with the Earth in the background. The Eutelsat HOTBIRD 13G satellite drifting away from Falcon 9's second stage. Great view. So with confirmation of successful
acquisition of signal, Diego Garcia.
With confirmation of successful payload deploy, we're going to end our launch broadcast.
Acquisition of signal, Maldives.
We're going to end our launch broadcast for tonight. All of us here at SpaceX want to give a big thank you to our customer Eutelsat for entrusting us with today's mission. We also want to give a big shout out to the Range and Federal Aviation Administration for supporting today's mission. As I mentioned earlier, today's launch concludes our 189th overall mission to date and 51st launch of this year. Thanks to all of our viewers for tuning in and your continued support. Have a great night, and we'll see you again soon.